The Calgary Flames have locked in Martin Pospisil to a 3-year contract extension worth $2.5 million a season. I like this move quite a bit for the Flames. I think that this is someone who actually has a pretty high ceiling and has a relatively safe floor if you're going to be making a move like this. The floor is fourth line energy guy with some speed and toughness. And now, if that is really all that he is, 2.5 a year becomes a touch rich for the for that, but still an effective player. And given the way the salary cap is going to go up, I hate using that as an excuse for a contract, but I think in this case 2.5 is going to become a little bit less detrimental as everything goes along. And so you will take that, given that there is a pretty substantial upside for the player, because I do think that the ceiling for this kid is a top six winger who has just a bomb of a shot, plays a hard-nosed style, and plays a style that you would assume would carry into postseason play very effectively. So I feel like you are fine gambling on the upside here and having the floor of this guy's going to be an energy player on your fourth line who can help make a difference on a hockey team. I am okay giving that 3 years and a $2.5 million extension. I like that quite a bit from a Calgary Flames standpoint. And so for a team that is in a bit of a rebuild or retool or whatever you want to call it, but for a team that is going to be testing out a lot of young players over the next little bit, I like rewarding a kid who tested and passed a lot of the tests as he kind of went along. We will get into why I'm so interested in this player in just a second, but I do want to draw your attention to the tip jar that we have here with Couch Potato Diary. It is either in the description of whatever you are consuming, or there are panels on Twitch and Kick as well. It would just, help the treat habits for my cats a little bit. There is a link in the description, and again, in panel form. It is not required, not expected, even a little bit, would be appreciated though. So, why is Martin Pospisil so interesting for the Calgary Flames? He was very good a couple of seasons ago, and at that time, I kind of admitted, I didn't think there was much of a ceiling for this particular player. I thought that he was going to be kind of bottom six energy guy, right? He could be kind of crash bang boom, go out there, be tough, do all those things, and then, maybe something happens. But to see him be an effective player in a top six role was very intriguing to me. And so, yes, he falls off a little bit last year, but there was quite a bit going on there, right? They were testing him at center for a little while, figuring out a lot of different things in the lineup. And so it does kind of feel like when you are looking at potential players that could kind of break out a little bit, it feels like he is getting forgotten about when it comes to those types of discussions here with the Flames. And I don't think he's going to break out and all of a sudden have 100 points. But I do think that he doesn't seem to get the same benefit of the doubt as others would, because what we saw last year honestly was kind of where I thought he was going to be. So when you think about guys who could break out, you ignore that first breakout season and just look at kind of what the confirmation bias would be, basically. I do think there is a little bit more there for this kid, though. And I do think that maybe we don't try him at center again. Let him just figure his life out over on the wing and really turn into the type of Martin Pospisil that he really can. I think that there is, like I said before, I think there's a pretty high ceiling on this kid. So I am at least intrigued to see where Martin Pospisil goes from here. And I think he is someone that just when we're talking about guys, not the superstars that the Flames need, but when we are talking about guys that have an opportunity to level up a little bit, don't forget about Martin Pospisil when having that conversation. In the live chat, Deeds, the 3-year signing with the new CBA is kind of the new bridge contract. It is a good signing to see what Marty will possibly become. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Deeds. It's a bridge contract. It's 3 years. It is not a substantial amount of money by any stretch of the imagination, and it becomes easier to deal with as the salary cap goes up. Again, hate using that as a reasoning, but that is the fact. And to be able to bet on this kid and kind of see where that talent is, where that potential can take you, no problem with this type of a contract, even a little bit. Like I said, the floor is maybe a little bit lower than you would want to pay $2.5 million to, but the ceiling is this kid ends up being a bargain. And the Flames, Like, this kid has the ceiling, at least, that the Flames on the next contract may have to pay him twice as much as this per season. I don't know if I would bet on that, but I would come to expect that by the time this deal is done, this ends up being a bargain for the Flames. Maybe not a gigantic one, but I do think by the end of it, he will be underpaid by this team and looking for a bit of a raise at the end of this contract. That's at least where I think he is going to end up. So we will see where we will see where this one kind of goes with him. But I like this one absolutely for the Calgary Flames. Like I said, a lot of people know me from covering the Calgary Flames, but if you are a Calgary sports fan who knows me from the radio, you'll know wrestling is a passion of mine. You can also see a wrestling mask, a sumo wrestler, and a Mexican championship belt behind me, so you probably picked up on that. So, if you are here hanging out with me just for the wrestling, or if you just want to hear me talk about wrestling, there is a new wrestling podcast from Couch Potato Diary. It is called Living Room Lariat. It is going to have all the wrestling content from Couch Potato Diary with some exclusive breakdowns not available on the flagship podcast. So make sure you find Living Room Lariat wherever you get your podcasts. We got Toxic in the chat as well. Hello, Toxic. He is messaging back in about the Blue Jays deal. Sir Anthony Dominguez is such a major upgrade over Chad Green. I could not agree more. If you're just looking at it at that way, like to just like, and really, I mean, he's taking his spot in the bullpen, so yeah, 100%. That is a gigantic upgrade when you are looking at what Chad Green was giving this team and the problems that he was having. I will take Dominguez there. That is a massive upgrade. And it is just like, to think about the confidence I would have going into the going into the 8th and 9th inning, where you have Dominguez and Hoffman at the back part of that to be able to go up against whoever you might be playing in the postseason. I feel so much more comfortable about that than Chad Green, where you're just like, really? Can we? Okay, okay, fine, whatever, works. So I feel pretty good about where that one is at. I completely agree with you on that, Toxic, and thanks for hanging out in the chat again today. We have AJ Drew ID, or Druid. AJ Druid, that makes more sense. In the chat, saying Martin Pospisil is a good player at center and winger for the Flames. I love this signing. That is the thing. Like I was saying, hey, let's work on him on the wing. Realistically, I do think like they have given him a couple of looks at center, and he has had those at World Hockey Championships and things like that. There is a world where that works, right? And so when you are looking at what this season is for the Flames, kind of talked about it last year, things ended up going really well. This time for Calgary, it is figuring out who is going to be a part of the next good Calgary Flames teams. With all due respect to what's happening now, that is to figure out like where everyone fits. And so when you are not necessarily worried about wins and losses, it's okay to just try stuff. And so I don't mind if you want to give Pospisil another opportunity at center. I think he is more effective at the wing, but boy howdy does life get a little bit easier if he just works as a center iceman on the team. You can never have too many centers, right? So if you can turn him into at least a somewhat viable option in the faceoff dot, then all of a sudden that contract becomes a whole lot more of a win than the dub that I already think Craig Conroy has taken with this one. So I absolutely would agree with you there, AJ, that this is 100% a smart, a very good signing, I guess, from the Calgary Flames.